Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of my flower arrangement tutorial. In this video we will be working on our pot and attaching everything together, so let's just go ahead and get started with our pot. This right here is my written pattern, and I believe I already showed the bottom half of this in part 1, but I did want to show you the top half. We will be using our 3.5mm crochet hook again for the pot. Also, I just wanted to show this. I know it's messy, but in case you just want to screenshot it and follow along. But right here, I just literally crossed this out right now because I was still editing this pattern. But this right here was actually for the shorter pot, and in this video we are doing the longer pot. I know it is kind of confusing, but you know, right here is just parts in the beginning, parts at the bottom of the pot, and then I switch over to this side for the longer pot, and then this is my closure, and then this part right here is just the rim part of the pot. So you don't need this because I'm showing it in the video, but you know, if you wanted to not really follow the video and if you know how to read patterns, then you can go ahead and screenshot that. To start off, let's grab whatever color we're using for the pot, and we're going to create a magic circle. So take your yarn, I like to lay it flat against my fingers, and then I'll just hold on with my thumb and wrap it around my 3 fingers. And then once I get to the top, I'll create an X, and then I'll just bring it back down my hands, burn my fingers, and then right here I just take my pinky and I hold on to this yarn, not too tightly because it needs to move, but just to make sure everything stays in place. So now you have this X here. Let's take our crochet hook, let's go inside of this part of the circle, so just inside right here, and I'm going to grab that front X. So I'm going to grab this right here, I'm going to pull it through, and I'm just going to twist up a little bit, and now I have a loop on my crochet hook, and then I'm going to go back into that yarn again and just go under, grab that yarn and pull it through, and now you have your magic circle. I'm going to let go, and there is the magic circle. Now we're going to single crochet 6 times into our circle. So if you pull in this yarn right here, it's going to make your circle smaller, and I'm going to do that because I like to work around smaller spaces, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. I'm just going to pull mine about that much. And now when you single crochet, you have to go around this circle and this yarn piece as well, because this is what will adjust your circle later on. So let's go ahead and do a single crochet. Take your crochet hook, go inside your circle, grab your yarn, and just pull it right through the circle. You now have 2 loops on the hook. Let's yarn over and pull through both of those loops. So once again, let's go inside our circle, grab that yarn, pull it through the circle. We have our 2 loops on the hook. Let's yarn over a hook and pull through both of those loops. That's a single crochet. So now you have to do 6 in total, and I'm going to do a couple off camera and then I'll be right back. I did do 3 more single crochets off camera. I have a total of 5 single crochets now. Before I do my last one, I'm just going to pull on this yarn to close up my circle, and then I'll do my last single crochet. I just find that it's easier to make it a little bit more round right here, so that's why I like to pull it all before I do my last single crochet. So I'm going to go in now into this tiny space, grab that yarn, pull it through. I have my 2 loops on the hook. I'm yarning over and pulling through both, and that is the end of round 1. I'm not going to insert my stitch marker yet because in the next round all we're doing is increasing into each one of those stitches, so it's going to be a little bit easy to keep track of this. But if you like, you can add your stitch marker into that last stitch we did, but again I won't be doing that because it's just an increase into each one of our stitches. So let's just go ahead and do that. So into that first stitch, I'm going to show you an increase, which is 2 single crochets, working with single crochets for our increases. So let's just go into that stitch, grab some yarn and pull it through the stitch. We have 2 loops on our hook. Let's yarn over and pull through both. So that was 1 single crochet. To make an increase, we need to go into that stitch 1 more time. So let's go into that stitch, grab the yarn, pull it through. There's our 2 loops on the hook. Let's yarn over and pull through both. So that was our first increase. Now I'll show you that one more time before I go off camera. So again, into this stitch now, we're going in, grabbing the yarn. Let's yarn over to finish off our first single crochet, and now we have to do another into that same stitch. Let's go in, grab a yarn, pull through. We have our 2 loops on the hook, yarning over, pulling through both. All right, so now I'm just going to repeat that all the way through until I get 12 stitches in total for round 2. Now that I have my 12 stitches in round 2, I can take my stitch marker and place it into that last stitch. And now we can move on to round 3. Round 3, let's start off with an increase into the first stitch. So going into this one right here, let's go in with our first single crochet. And let's do another one into the same stitch. Remember, this is an increase. Just grabbing that yarn, we have our 2 loops on the hook, we're yarning over and pulling through both. Now we're going to follow that by single crocheting into this next stitch, just 1 single crochet. Let's go in, grab the yarn, pull it through the stitch, 2 loops on the hook, yarning over, pulling through both. So now you just have to repeat those 2 steps all the way through and take it 18 stitches in total, and I will repeat once more before I go off camera. So let's go into the next stitch and start off with an increase. So that was 1 and 2 into the same stitch. Now into the next one, we're just doing 1 single crochet. And now I will finish the rest off camera. Remember, you'll end up with 18 stitches in total in round 3. Alright, this is the end of round 3. You can see it's expanding a bit. So now we're just going to go into round 4. Also, I did remove my stitch marker and placed it into that last single crochet I did. And for round 4, we're going to also start off with an increase. So let's go into that first stitch and let's do our increase. So I just yarn over, pull through both of those loops. I have to do that one more time into the same stitch. And there goes our increase. And then now we're going to single crochet into the next 1, 2 stitches. So let's just go ahead and do that. Let's put 1 single crochet into this first one, and then moving on to the second one. Alright, so now we're just going to repeat that all the way through until we get 24 stitches in total in round 4. So let me show that again. Going into that next stitch, I'm starting off with an increase. I just did 1 single crochet, and I'm doing another one into the same stitch. And then I'm going to follow that by single crocheting into the next 1, 2 stitches. So here's the first one. I did 1 single crochet and moving on to the second one. And that was the second crochet. And then now just repeat those steps all the way through until you get 24 stitches in total in round 4. Alrighty, now that I'm done with round 4, let's go on to round 5, where we're going to once again start off with an increase. So let's go into that first stitch and do our increase. That was 1 and 2 to the same stitch. And then now we're going to single crochet into the next 1, 2, 3 stitches. So let's go ahead and put 1 single crochet into each of those. Just did my first one, moving on to my second, and then my third. So now you can just repeat that all the way through until you get 30 stitches in total. And let's do that one more time. So going into my next stitch, I'm doing an increase. That was 1 and 2 single crochets into the same stitch. Now I'm going to single crochet into this one, moving on to the next one, and moving on to the third one with my last single crochet. So now just repeat that all the way through until you get 30 stitches in total in round 5. Moving on to round 6, let's start again with an increase. So going into that first stitch here, we're doing our increase, which is our 2 single crochets into the same stitch. And then we're going to single crochet into the next 4 stitches. So let's go in. Here's the first. This one is the second. Here is the third. And right there is the fourth. So if you repeat that process all the way through, you should end up with 36 stitches in total in round 6. And I'll show once more. So going into this stitch, I'm starting off with my increase. And 2 into the same stitch. Then we're single crocheting into the next 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. So let's just go ahead and put 1 single crochet into each of those. This one is my third. Oops. This is my third. And my fourth. Losing my voice again. Finish the rest off camera and I'll be back. Remember, this row you should have 36 stitches in total once you're done. Now moving on to our last increasing round, which is round 7. Let's first start off the same way by doing an increase into the first stitch. So that was 1 and 2. This time we're single crocheting into the next 5 stitches. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's just put 1 single crochet in first. This is the second. Here is the third. Oops. Sorry, I had to fix that off camera, but this is the third. Here's the fourth. And this one is the fifth. And now we're just going to repeat that all the way through. And I didn't write this on my pattern because I think I forgot, but you should end up with 42 stitches in this round. So I will show that one more time. We're going to start off with our increase. So that was 1 and 2 into the same stitch. And then you're going to single crochet into the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. Let's just go ahead and put 1 single crochet into each of those. This is my 4th, and this one is my 5th one. And remember, you should end up with 42 stitches in total in round 7. So here is the bottom of our pot. So you can see that when I lay it down like that, that's just going to be the bottom. This is the inside, and now we need to create the length of our pot. And we're not going to be doing any like stitch count changes. We're just going to keep the same number of 42, but we're working into the back loop only. So right here, this is the front of our project. This is the back. So that means this part right here is the front loop. And this part of the stitch is the back loop. We only want to go into the back loop. And to do that, you can see this is my first stitch right here. And to go into the back loop, you have to take your crochet hook and you want to push into the middle of the stitch and push out through the back. You're now going to grab your yarn, pull it through. We're still doing a single crochet, so just yarn over your hook and pull through both loops. So that was a single crochet into the back loop. And now you can see the front loop is just hanging right there. So let's do that again. Here's our next stitch. I'm going to push it in through the middle, out through the back. Grabbing my yarn to do a single crochet. I'll show that again 2 more times before I go off camera. So here's my next stitch. Remember, this is the front. This is the back. We only want to go into the back loop. So I'm going to go into the middle of the stitch and push out through the back. Grab my yarn to do a single crochet. Okay, one last time. Here's the next stitch. I'm going into the middle, out to the back. And the single crochet. So I'll be back once I'm done crocheting through all of the back loops of this row. Sorry, I'm losing it, but this is round 8, and again we're just doing the back loop only single crochets. Do you single crochet into the back loop only? This is what it looks like. You can see that you have this little edge right here from where you didn't go into that loop, so that was the front loop, and that's just what it looks like after you do that. So now we're going to move on to round 9, and for round 9 they're just all single crochets. It's the same thing, but you're just going into the normal stitch, so the whole thing. So remember how we were doing the back loop? Let's just go back to the normal single crochets into the entire stitch. Let's just go in and do 1 single crochet. So for this entire process, you're still ending up with 42 stitches because you're not changing anything. 42 stitches in each round. So I will do this off camera and I'll be back with the final length because I don't think you need to see me crocheting the same thing over and over, but I'm going to go ahead and do this off camera and then I'll be right back. Again, this is round 9. After you finish round 9, this is what it looks like. So you can see it's starting to get just the bottom of the pot going. So now all you have to do is single crochet some more rows, or rounds, sorry. I always say rows every time I have to say rounds, but I'm going to be doing in total 13 rounds, but I already did round 9, so I'm going to be doing off camera rounds 10 to 21. You just want to keep a tally of everything because you might lose track, so that's just what I did here. Remember, I'm going to be doing you as well, you're going to be doing rounds 10 to 21 unless you want your pot longer, but I think this is kind of the perfect size. So yeah, I'm going to be doing my rounds off camera and then I'll be right back. Actually, I forgot to mention this, but I actually pre-made up some of the pot because if I didn't do this video would take me forever because it does take a while to make. So yes, I did start off with a gray, but now moving on to this brown one, and let's go ahead and start with our decreases. Of course, pause the video if you are not done yet. And just to repeat again, I did do rounds 10 to rounds 21 off camera for that other one. Actually, I didn't do the other one yet, but that's what I would have been doing if I didn't pre-make this one. Let me just remove this really quick and put my stitch marker in. I mentioned this before. I think I mentioned it in this video, but when I don't have a stitch marker, I just use like the yarn here to keep my place because I'm too lazy to find these little markers sometimes. But we're now going to be starting on our decreases. We will add some stuffing a little bit later, but not right now. So for round 22, we're going to be working into the back loop only, which if you remember is what we did down here. So we're just doing it this again, just at the top this time. Also, if you would like to color change, you can, but I'm not going to. I think I also mentioned in part 1 that I don't want to color change because I feel like the flowers kind of hide it. But if you would like a darker brown, you can go ahead and color change. So let's go into our back loop only, and remember to do that, I like to start in the middle of the stitch. Well, you have to start in the middle of the stitch and then push out through the back, and just grab your yarn and do your single crochet. We are going to be decreasing in this round, so we want to single crochet 5 times first into the back loop only. So I just did my first one, now doing the second. Remember, into the middle, out to the back, because we are doing the back loop only. That was my third. This is my fourth, and this is my fifth, going into the back loop. Push in through the middle, out through the back. And then now we're going to do a decrease. So to do that, let's go into these 2 stitches, the next 2. Go into the first one, grab some yarn and pull it through. And then go into the second one and do the same thing. So leave these loops here, just go straight into the second one. Grab that yarn, pull it through. You now have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. And that is a decrease. Now you're just going to repeat those steps all the way through, and remember, this entire row is going to be worked into the back loop only. So to show that again, let's go into the next 5 stitches by doing a single crochet into the back loop only. So that was my first. Here is the second, pushing in through the middle, out to the back. That's, oh my god, what was that? How do I lose count on my second one? Okay, sorry about that. That was my second. Here is my third. This one is my fourth. And here's the fifth into the back loop only. And then you're going to decrease into the next stitch, so you have to work into these 2 to do a decrease. So let's go into the first one, push into the back, grab your yarn, pull it through. There's your 2 loops on the hook. Now do the same thing to the next stitch, so going into this one, into the middle, out to the back, grabbing the yarn, pulling it through. There's the 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3. Now you're just going to repeat that step all the way through until you get 36 stitches in total. Okay, so I just finished my first decreasing round, and this is what it looks like. Again, you can see the rim right here, kind of like the bottom one, but I am going to stuff it right now, and I do want to mention that you don't have to use this, but I like to put something a little bit heavier in the bottom. I have my scrap pieces right here. This is from the hospice when we have extra like scraps left. I kind of like to use everything because I don't want to waste it. And the reason I put this at the bottom is because it's a little bit heavier than stuffing, and I feel like it kind of holds the pot nicely. But if you did use stuffing for the whole thing, that would totally be fine. I just want to put a little bit of this, not too much, because when you insert the stems, you want it to be able to go through something, and the stems would definitely not go through this. So I'm just going to put a little bit at the bottom. I think only one of these guys fits in this. So there it is. I just have it like really flat in there at the bottom. I'm not sure if you can tell, but this is fleece from the blankets that we use to crochet for people when we make the borders. But yeah, so I have that at the bottom. I'm not going to add any of my actual stuffing yet because I want to do another decreasing round. But if you want to put stuffing now because you like to work, because it's a bigger space, what I'm gonna do, or I'm gonna show you, is when you take your stuffing, you can kind of just pull it apart. You want to make it airy so you can insert the stem, and the stem, remember, is the pipe cleaner. If you're using like stuffing that's actually from like Joann's or something, that's already kind of airy, so you don't need to do this, but I'm using pillow stuffing, so I just have to pull it apart because mine's a little bit, you know, stuck together. So that's why I do that. But you can go ahead and stuff that now if you want to. But if you watch my videos, you know I like to wait until like it's absolutely like almost closed. Now moving on to another well, this whole thing's going to be decreasing rounds. But moving on to round 23. Let's start off with a single crochet into the next 4 stitches. And we're not doing anything in the back loops. We're just doing a normal one into the entire stitch. So let's just go in and do 4. Single crochet, so that's 1. Here's my second. This is my third. And this right here is the 4th. And then now I'm going to do a decrease, and this time again this whole thing is going to be into the normal stitch, so let's go ahead and do our decrease, which is the same way, just going into the entire stitch. So let's go into this one, grab some yarn, pull it through. You have to do that same thing to the next stitch over. You have your 3 loops on the hook, you want to yarn over and pull through all 3. Now you just have to repeat that all the way through until you get 30 stitches. So let's show that again. So we're going to go into the next 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, and we're just doing 1 single crochet into each of those. This one is my 3rd, and this right here is my 4th. And now I'm doing the decrease, so working into these 2 stitches. Let's go into the first one, grab some yarn and pull it through. There's my 2 loops on the hook. We're doing the same thing to the following stitch. Now I have my 3 loops on the hook, I'm yarning over and pulling through all 3. So now just repeat that all the way through until you get your 30 stitches. Just finished that decreasing round, and I also added a little bit more stuffing. I'm going to add more after this next round, but I just wanted to put some in there just for now. And now let's go into the back loops again for this decreasing round. And for this decreasing round, I do not keep count of my stitches. So usually I always do that like towards the end. I kind of just keep decreasing until I like it, so that's why I don't keep track of the stitches, but I'll tell you what I did. So to go into this one, it's all into the back loops only. And we're going to start off with a decrease, and we're going to do that 2 times. So going into this right here, let's go into the back loop, grab some yarn, pull it through, and do the same thing to the following stitch, because remember, this is a decrease. There's our 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull, oops, oh my gosh, let me do that again. There's our 3 loops, you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. And that's the first decrease. So now I'm going to do another decrease. So the same thing, let's go into the next stitch. Remember, this whole round is into the back loops only. Grabbing the yarn, pulling it through. Repeating that to the following stitch, pushing in through the middle, out to the back. Grab the yarn, pull it through. There's my 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. And then I'm going to single crochet into the next 2 stitches. So remember, into the back loop only. So let's do the first one and the second one. So I'm going to do the rest of this off camera because it's just a repeat. So basically all you do is just 2 decreases and then 2 single crochets. So you just keep repeating that until you get to the end. Remember, you want to do 1 decrease, another decrease, then single crochet, a single crochet, and just keep repeating that. Okay, I'll just show it on camera. So I'm going in with a decrease, yarn over, pulling through all 3 loops. That was my first decrease. Here's my second one into the back loop only. Remember, push in through the middle, out to the back. Repeat that to the following stitch. There's the 3 loops on the hook, I'm yarning over, pulling through all 3. And then now I follow that by single crocheting into the next 2 stitches into the back loop still. That was the first, and here's the second. And now I'm going to finish the rest off camera, and I'm also going to stuff it a little bit more. So off camera, I finished the decreasing round, and I also stuffed it just a bit more. And this is what it currently looks like. Now for the rest of the way through, you can see that I did remove my stitch marker. So it's because for this round, I just basically decrease and single crochet and repeat that the entire time until I end up with like a super small circle, or like however, you'll see it in a minute. But what I'm gonna do is now just show you that you're going into the full stitch this time, so not into the back loop only. The reason I did the back loop, actually I'm not really sure why I did that, but I kind of feel like it does help a little bit, like to insert some of the stems, because I feel like these stitches are a little bit looser, but I don't know if that's like accurate. I kind of just did it. But now for the following rounds, remember, just go in with a normal decrease. This is through the entire stitch. Try not to grab any of your stuffing. And we kind of already know how to do a decrease if you made it this far, so just gonna go a little bit faster. Here's my decrease, and then I'm following that with a single crochet, and you just want to repeat that all the way through. Just alternate between a decrease and a single crochet, and it doesn't have to be too perfect because honestly it's going to be covered by the flowers. So I'll be back once I feel like I decreased enough. So here is what it looks like. You can see there's still a little bit of an opening, but you don't have to worry about that because we're gonna now take some scissors, cut off this yarn, and we're gonna close this up. So what I like to do here is, you see I have this loop. I'm just gonna take this yarn and put it through that loop. Just a couple ways to secure it. And then now what I'm gonna do is go into the stitch that's right after this, the one where we have the yarn. I'm gonna insert my hook through that, and then I'm gonna grab this yarn and pull it through the stitch. This is the same way I close up all my projects. So if you see my videos, you already know how to do this, but just go into the next stitch, grab that yarn and pull it through, and you're just gonna make your way all the way around. You can see here I kind of messed up a little bit with the yarn snagging, but it's fine, it's gonna be covered. Just going through your stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through. If you can hear noise in the back, my ring light is making noise. So I'm gonna try to fix that in the next clip, but yeah, just go all the way around. And then once you make it around, you can pull on your yarn and it closes it up. Then what you can do is go into a stitch close by, grab your yarn and pull it through. The same thing, it's just this time don't pull it all the way, just enough until you have a loop. Take that yarn, put it through the loop. And again, if you see a little opening, that's fine because you can insert the flower through this middle part right here, which is what I usually do. So I'm going to take my scissors now, I just push this yarn back in. I was going to say we're done with the pot, but I forgot we have to do the rim at the top. So now that we have this, let's get our yarn again, the same color, and create the rim. Well, you could use a different color if you want. I think that would be cute as well. But I'm going to take this color again, and then we'll make the rim.